Hello, my name is Beatriz Chavez Yuste, and I'm going to talk about the effectiveness of language cooperative learning on third-year secondary education students' EFL reading comprehension and their attitudes toward its use. In order to help students be competent enough and acquire the necessary skills to face knowledge society, reading skills should be worked and fostered through the different educational stages they may encounter because of the multiple benefits. Reading, it's a leisure activity which helps teenagers understand the surrounding world, it helps them to develop critical thinking and growth, and it's the necessary skill to understand all the information in order to convey, discuss, support, and review their views on topics or situations which may affect their lives. Moreover, through reading, they are aware of the mental linguistic processes, and a reading plan is advisable to be implemented, to be included in all the English curriculum, and just because they improve the reading skills. Through reading, students can expand the lexicon, they study syntactic structures and formal written discourse, they improve the linguistic competence in general, they develop the cognitive skills and learning autonomy, they build knowledge, they interact with the teacher and the teacher, and they build complicity. They also work with they are also very advisable to work with curriculum issues, as it happens in this research work in which we are working with Wonder by R.J. Palacio, and we work with tolerance, response, patience, thoughtfulness, and calm in our current work in which students are used to getting immediate feedback. Language cooperative learning is a teaching method that focuses on cooperative activities based on teamwork between equals who share the responsibility of the work while building knowledge and improving social and communicative skills. Every member contributes to the rest of the group with the best they can do, and equality, tolerance, and respect are promoted. Each member is assigned a role, and periods of time and clear guidelines of the tasks need to be established. The equal participation and individual responsibility are fostered, and despite the students in language cooperative learning work in groups, they don't have anything to do with traditional work. It's often misunderstood, but traditional work does not consider the individual responsibility manifested in the different contributions of the member of the group, and it is frequent to find unbalanced participation. However, in language cooperative learning, students with different learning styles and rhythms can achieve their goals thanks to the help and support of the group peers by playing different roles. Language cooperative learning is a learning-centered active methodology that provides opportunities for a natural acquisition through interactive text in the foreign language, through the use of pair work, small group interactive tasks, and develop communicative strategies while paying attention to lexical units, linguistic structures, and communicative functions. Thus, student motivation increases, stress is reduced, and a positive affective environment is created in the classroom. This method is reaching the established objectives and can be applied to different cultural curricular environments. Following Alonso et al.'s guidelines, two main steps need to be followed. First, to create an appropriate classroom atmosphere through relaxation, self-control, and energy release activities that may encourage the development of self-control and enjoyment of the group through movement. And secondly, to organize heterogeneous teams, taking into account students' cognitive abilities, knowledge, interests like motivation, learning styles, intelligence. So students can be classified according to three categories: the ones that help others, the ones that need help, and those intermediate students that don't need much help, but don't have a special predisposition to help others. The common group, the common team is composed of two intermediate students and a student that needs help, and the ones that support much help. All the teams need to fulfill certain requirements that are established by Pujolas, like heterogeneous groupings, equals opportunities for success, positive interdependence, individual responsibility, equal and simultaneous participation, inter-individual information processing, use of cooperative skills, and group processing. Despite language cooperative learning is a very popular active methodology is not that common, and there is not research. It's not that common when with secondary students in Spain, and there isn't any research focus on the use of the reading scale. Um, of the reading skill in Spain with secondary students. So the studies found occurred had taken a place abroad, and all then provide multiple benefits and very positive results. The general objective of this work is to show the implications of using language cooperative learning in a secondary education stage when working with the reading skills in Spain. So there are two research questions. So the first one is which method is more effective to foster proper reading skills, communicative language teaching or language cooperative learning, and which is the student attitude towards the methodology, experimental, so towards language cooperative learning. To do so, 53 students participated in the study. All of them belong to are studying the third year of compulsory education. They are between 14 and 50 years old, with an average age of 14.39. 54.70% are male students, whereas 45.3% are female, and they are randomly assigned into a control and an experimental group. As instruments, we took 6 tasks that work the 8 different parts of the book, and but with different techniques. The control group follows the techniques and the presets of communicative language teaching, whereas the experimental group follows the presets and the techniques of communicative language learning. And also, so that the grades obtained in these 6 tasks are compared and are analyzed, as well as the final term grade of all the students. In order to implement this experimentation, the English department agreed on the proposal of applying this active methodology for working with reading and with third year compulsory secondary education students. We got the assistance of the principal, and the parent consent forms were signed. The heterogeneous cooperative groups were arranged, and students were distributed. They were distributed the different cooperative roles. The duration of this experimentation lasted for 1 term, so for 3 months. The roles were assigned, taking into account the characters of the book. So Mr. Tarsman is the coordinator who coordinates and indicates the tasks that each one must perform at this moment, controls that everyone does the homework, and there is the group evaluation. Ogi, or the secretary, who reminds the group and individual commitments and pending tasks of the team, notes the work done and checks that everyone has brought the task. Summer, or the speaker, who asks the group questions to the teacher and acts on behalf of the group, contacts and acts of the teams if necessary, present the activities carried out by the group and their conclusions, and mom, or the supervisor, who controls the time, supervises the noise level, organizes everyone's material, and makes sure that everything is collected. Since a language cooperative learning does not only assess the final grade, the rubric was used in order to assess the how they work. So how they work and how the social skills were fostered. So thanks to the teacher's observation, we assess how they search information, how they communicate, how they critical think, how creative they were. And when they were presenting the oral presentations, they were assessed by the peers who pay attention to the content, pronunciation, structure, grammar, and vocabulary used. And in order to assess the written assignments, both control and experimental groups were assessed taking into account this rubric, in which certain items concerning the contents and concerning the language were assessed. The results were analyzed with the Social Science Statistics Package SPSS, Windows version 25. And first, a descriptive analysis was done, and the average, the means and the standard deviation of the studied variables were compared. As it can be observed in the chart, all the tags, all the grades of all the tags and the grades of the final term are higher for the experimental group and are higher in the experimental group. And when being compared, we can see that in task 1, 3, 4, 6, and in the final term grade, there is a statistical and there is a meaningful and significant statistical difference. Whereas in task 2 and task 5, there isn't a significant difference, despite the fact the grades are higher. So these results confirm the hypothesis that there is a significant difference observed in the contrast of the data in favor of the experimental group, which attains higher results in the different tasks performed. Regarding the perception of the language cooperative learning that was done by administering a questionnaire once the experimentation was finished, students need to to answer this questionnaire with 12 items. If all these items are analyzed, we can observe that all the answers are very positive. Yes, so they are more or less around 85% of agreement between I strongly agree or I agree. I would like to highlight item 2, which is the one concerning achievements, that it's only agreed by 65.37%. because it states that this percentage is agree that when they work with other students, they achieve more than when they work alone. So despite it's more than half of the whole number of students, this figure shows that it's also necessary to offer students tasks to be fulfilled individually that can work well in combination with language cooperative learning tasks. Another item that I would like to highlight is, for example, item 6, that only has got 69.22% of agreement. But which is a very positive result as well, or item 12, which has got 100% of agreement, which states that they prefer that the teachers use more language cooperative learning assignments in the EFL classroom. So the purpose of the research was to analyze to what extent language cooperative learning could be a suitable methodology for teaching EFL in Spanish secondary education, specifically to improve the reading skills and as a consequence the general linguistic competency too. To analyze their learners' attitudes towards this methodology. So regarding the first issue, which method is more effective, taking into account the results obtained, the experimental group with higher academic scores, it seems that language cooperative learning is more efficient when working with reading skills, since students collect ideas for different teammates and it contributes to ease the concepts studied. And concerning the attitude towards language cooperative learning, it is a very positive attitude. They feel less inhibition. They perform better than with traditional communicative language teaching practices, and they are very satisfied. In the light of the results obtained in this exploratory research and this crisis studies focused on the EFL at the secondary education level, it would be suitable for EFL secondary education teachers to choose the use of active methodologies such as language cooperative learning to improve a students' learning process and academic performance. The main limitations of this exploratory research are the sample size and the ad hoc test and text, so any regeneralization to other populations will be made cautiously. In future research, it would be advisable to increase the sample size, extend the duration of the application of the language cooperative learning methodology throughout the whole school year. And based on the findings of the study, it may be advisable to use language cooperative learning instruction with other skills such as writing or speaking. The constant interaction among the teammates, the development on interpersonal skills, and the easy management with large classes makes language cooperative learning a beneficial and motivating active methodology in the EFL secondary education classroom that may be also beneficial to apply in other curricular subjects. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have got any question, I am more than happy to answer them. Thank you.